In this, we're going to try to host our self-hosted version of tasking.ai, then be able to communicate with the API. In this video, we're going to create a RAG assistant using tasking.ai and use the API in a program that we have. The first thing you want to do is go to tasking.ai.com and then go to the docs. And then let's go to self-hosting. What you want to do is clone the repo, then go into the repo and then run this Docker command. So that's what I'm going to do. Here I have the cloned repo here called Tasking AI. I'm going to go into that, go into the Docker file and open up a command line tool inside of this file. Make sure I have Docker installed and open. So I'm going to open that. That's going to take a second. That is now open here in my other screen. Then I'm going to go ahead and paste this command inside of that folder. It's going to go ahead and start a Docker container or a Docker image. Now that that's running, I'm going to put this over into my other screen and go ahead and open up a browser. And I'm going to go to this host. You should see this screen when you first paste this into your browser. Then you can sign in using the username admin and tasking321 as the password and sign in. We can sign into the dashboard that we're self-hosting. On the left side, we have models, assistants, retrieval, tools, playground, API keys. So the first thing I want to do is go ahead and create a model. On the top right hand side, there's this green button called new model. We have options to choose which models, and there's quite a lot. I'm just going to go and do OpenAI, click next. I'm going to grab the 3.5 Turbo 16K for now, then click confirm. I'm just going to rename this to, well, that, and then I'm going to go and get my API key. I'm going to go to OpenAI API. I'm going to go to their API, and on the left hand side here is API keys, which I'm going to pull off to the right hand side where you can't see because I don't want to share this key. I'm going to create a new API key, the name, then I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to bring it right over here and paste it into this section. Once that's created, we have our model. So I want to create one more model. This is for the embedding because we're going to create a retrieval augmented generating model that we're going to communicate with. So let's go to OpenAI. Again, click next. And then we're going to find their embedding small. This one, click confirm. I'll put my API key in here again. Click confirm. Now we have two models. We have one embedding model and one check completion model. Now what we're going to do is make an assistant with it. So we're going to go to the left hand side on the dashboard and click assistant. We're going to create a new assistant. I'm going to name it, because that's what we're going to do. We're going to create a documentation assistant for the function calling for Unity asset. And make sure I'm spelling all this right. Then I'm going to click on the language model. We only have one at this moment, so we're going to click on that. Then we're going to create a system prompt. For now, that's okay. It's not a crazy prompt or anything, but good enough. We're going to move on. In the memory section, we can drop this down, click from a few different memory types. I'm going to create a message window, up to 20 messages with 2,000 tokens each. Here, we're going to create a new collection of documentation and examples for the function calling asset for Unity. We're going to point it to the embedding model that is actually going to embed all this collection to do a vector search. The only option that we can do is 1,000 for the capacity. Then we're going to select this collection that we just made and then click confirm. We're going to make it do a search for the 5 nearest similarities in order to get the context from the documentation to answer the question. We have our assistant created, just like that, super easy. Now we're going to go into our retrieval section and we're going to see the collection that we just made, and we're going to add in records. So the first thing I'm going to do is go to my Gitbook. I'm going to log in. I'm going to get my URLs because I'm going to use the URLs to point this collection to in order for it to get the data. So here's the link. I'm going to put this onto my other screen for now, and then bring my tasking console into this screen so I can just work with two different screens. So it looks like I can't point it directly to the website, so I'm just gonna copy the material from the page just straight up, and then just paste it right into here. Confirm. And I'm gonna do that a few times for each page. So let's do that for the install. Wonder if the pictures will come through. Okay, this is the install. I wonder how good it's gonna be because I'm actually just pasting all this information. I see the Unity setup, copy. I'm gonna create a new record, and this is the Unity scene setup and a tool attribute. Let's go ahead and copy that, put that into a new record. Let's go name it tool attribute, then confirm, create a new record, and then let's do the parameter attribute, name it, confirm, create another record, and finally let's do the subscribing to a brain. Then I'm just going to copy this and paste this up here and confirm. So with that, we're going to go ahead and try it out. You can go to the playground on the left here on the dashboard, select an assistant. We can select the assistant that we just created, click confirm, then we can create a new chat. Let's see if it's good. That actually worked. So let's see, how do I set it up? Study asset, import new tin, get an OpenAI API key, download the server project, store your OpenAI key, set up the scene, and make and use the AI body prefab. So that works. Okay, how about give me an example script showing me how to use it. Showing me how to use it. Oh, that's great. So this script right here, totally generated and exactly what I want. So I want to do one more thing, and I want to put in some examples into the records. I want to make at least 5 examples of how to use it and then make that as a record. So here's one. This is a game controller. It's going to make sure that it's right. So on enable, register to the brain, on disable, unregister, and then over a function, we create the tool attribute, we create the name and a description, and then a parameter. This parameter is called position and a description. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to retrieval. I'm going to edit this collection, create a new record, paste this in, and get this game controller and make that as the title. Confirm. And I'm going to do this a few times. Go back to my playground, create another 3 examples of how I can use this asset. So it's going to generate a health system. It's going to generate a player movement script, and they all look good. I'm going to go back here, edit this collection using edit this guy, and then I'm going to paste in the description in here. Confirm that. Then I'm going to go back to my playground. I want to go back and forth from my playground to my retrievals to copy this over, basically create more data for it to work with. Okay, do that a couple more times. Copy the health system. Okay, retrieval, new record, paste this in, just make this nice. Then I'm going to copy the health system for the title, paste that in, just confirm. Then do this at least one more time for this last one. Copy this, copy that, go to retrieval, click on record, create a new record, paste this in, and undo that. I'm just gonna move this, and then copy their movement, paste that into the title, and then click confirm. So I can do this a lot more times, or I can even do it programmatically at some point, but in this case it seems to have worked. Now what I want to do is create an API key. So I'm going to pull this into my other screen, create an API key. I'm going to name this assistant. Confirm, copy this. Okay. So after you create your API key, it should look like this. Let's create a script to be able to communicate with this through the API. I have this project set up here, and what we want to do is first paste in our API key to our environment variable, which is here. I'm going to do that off screen again. Paste it into here, Control V, and then Control save that. And then now that I have that in my environment variable, I will come back to the script that I was in and make sure that this is pointing to the right address, which it is. I'm going to save that. Then I want to grab my assistant ID. Let's go ahead and find my assistant. The ID is this thing right here. Let's copy that. Let's go back to here and paste it into here. I'm going to save that. So in this script, super simple script, I'm just trying to get in touch with my assistant, print assistant responded into the console. I have 3 functions. I'm only using one at the moment. I have a get assistant async, which gets the assistant information. Then I can try to get a message. This is a synchronous version. And here we have the asynchronous version of get message. We pass in a user message, we pass in the assistant ID, and if we have a chat ID or not, we pass in that. If we have the chat ID, we set that into our function and get the chat ID, or if not, we create one. We put the user message into the history of the chat messages, and then we put the chat ID into the assistant message. Then we get the assistant message and we return that. We're using a async queue, however you say that. We run it with a message of how do you create a function for function calling. Then we pass in the assistant ID that we pasted up here, and let's see if it runs. We get a response. That works. So we're able to talk to our own self-hosted tasking AI. Now let's take it one more step. Let's offer this in our Fast API. I have a full API set here. What I want to do is be able to create a post request to my Gitbook function calling. Let's go ahead and do an app.post. I'm going to name it function calling doc assistant. Okay, now let's create a sync definition, function calling doc assistant. I'm not going to put in a chat message, it's going to be a normal string. Then we are going to import tasking integration. Then let's go ahead and turn await. Then get assistant with the assistant name, not that name actually. So let's do something here. Let's go back to this and let's get the right assistant, plug that into here. I'm going to save that. I'm going to create a new terminal and I'm going to run my Fast API. Type in unicorn API app -- reload. That should start our server. And then I'm going to go to this. Let's see if it works. I think it's the same port as the other one. Yeah, it doesn't work. Oh yeah, let's go back to the Tasking AI API documentation, and let's try to set it up with a different port. Where is it? It's over here somewhere. It's here. What I want to do is run it on a different port. Change the Nginx configuration from the Docker Compose YAML. Okay, let's find that file. It is on my desktop, called apps tasking Docker Compose YAML. Change the Nginx port configuration. I'm going to do a Control F here to Nginx port configuration. There it is. I'm just gonna grab this and paste this in, and then save that. I probably have to run this again. So let's go grab this Docker Compose. So I've opened up Docker and stop this. Okay, so now I'm gonna run this again with the new configuration file. And I'm going to make sure it's running on that port. I was able to paste this in to my browser with the new port and able to sign in. Now I want to make sure I'm able to run my Unicorn instance on the other port, create a new terminal. And when that's ready, I'm going to type in uvicorn.api.app-reload. I spelled it wrong. Try that one more time. Okay, now control click over this. My Fast API backend is running here. So now let's go to the docs. And let's see if I can spell assistant right. Well, let's go ahead and type in a message. Go hi. And there we have it. So let's see, what is this asset about? Function calling asset for Unity is a framework that allows you to integrate OpenAI and do function calling. Yep. So that's it. We're able to self-host our tasking AI console and communicate with that in our API. We also went to the console where we were able to create a assistant using OpenAI. We can also use all these other kinds of models at the same time and do retrieval augmented generation over my documentation. So that's pretty cool, and that was really quick. So that's the end of that video.